What's up, guys? Before we kick off this Raw review for February 3rd, 2020, I have a small favor to ask. And I don't ask for much, you know that. I don't ask for subscriptions. Please subscribe to my channel. No, if you want to subscribe, awesome. If not, don't. I don't care. The only time you'll hear me even talk about subscriptions is when I tell my already subscribers to make sure that they're still subscribed, because the tube likes to take people off without anybody knowing. But as far as newer subscribers, if you want to, awesome. Welcome to the Amplified family. If not, check you later. Or not. But I don't ask for subscriptions. I don't ask for you to share these videos. I don't ask for anything. I just get right into the subject at hand. The reviews, the analysis. I start critiquing. I start dissecting the details. Because I know that's what you guys really are tuning in for. Let's get the business, BC. And to be honest, I got way too much going on outside of this YouTube endeavor. I don't have time to ask you guys for things. So I don't play that game, and I know you guys don't want me to anyway. On the Amplified channel, we get right to business. But I am going to ask a small little favor on today's Raw review video. Just a little self-experiment that I am doing. Humor me, if you will. There's a point to this, for me anyway, and I really want to gauge my Amplified unit and my audience and where they're at. So if you don't mind, just 2 names. I don't want this in a sentence, definitely not a paragraph. If you please will just leave 2 names down below. I want to know your favorite/best WWE male superstar and WWE female superstar. Main roster only, that is the caveat, not NXT, otherwise we'd be listing 100 names, I understand. But the rules are only 2 names, that's it, not 3 names. Oh, BC, it was too tough to choose between this lady and this lady, so I just jotted them both down. No, 1. 1 male superstar on the main roster, Raw or SmackDown, and 1 female roster member, Raw or SmackDown. But please drop just 2 names, because it's going to be easier for me when I'm running through these comments. I need to just see 2 names so I can calculate. If you guys are putting it in sentences and telling me why you picked the 2 names, it's not going to help me out at all, because then I'm just going to get lost in the sentence and I'm trying to pick out the names. No, or I'm just going to disqualify the sentence because I'm just trying to find the names. Hope that makes sense. But just put 2 names. For instance, if it was me, I'd put Sasha Banks, Bray Wyatt. Boom, 2 names, that's it. It's not in a sentence. My comment just says Sasha Banks, Bray Wyatt. That's my comment. Please, guys, humor me and drop down 2 names down below. 2 superstars that you feel are the best or just your favorite. However your criteria, if you're spending money to go to a live event, what are the 2 superstars on the main roster, male and female? Who's the 2 that you would actually spend money right now in WWE to go see? Give me 2 names, that's it. Not in a paragraph, not in a sentence. That's my favor that I ask of you. If I don't have at least 75 to 100 people participating, I'm not even going to calculate. So I really need you guys to come through and help me out with this little experiment that I am doing. I was going to say a science experiment, but there's nothing scientific about it. It's just you guys telling me, my unit, who you most are into right now in WWE. And there's a point to this. It's not going to change the world, but it's going to be in line with how I critique WWE. And I am trying to prove a point here. But I need you guys to come through. At least 75 to 100 of you guys need to drop 2 names down below. Thank you. That's my opening monologue. It's actually me just asking you guys who your favorite WWE superstar is, male and female, and let me know down below. Raw and SmackDown only. NXT's its own world. We could probably pick anybody down in NXT right now. But Raw and SmackDown only, male, female. For instance, Sasha Banks, Bray Wyatt. There's BC's comment. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to calculate all this stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see where we are right now in 2020. Who we really are into. Majority-wise. Thank you. Now, let's get to the Raw review and reaction, February 3rd, 2020. Right from the jump, guys, you have Randy Orton starting the show. And, of course, we all know what happened after last week's show. That was pretty heavy. That was pretty awesome, right? We finally got a cliffhanger. How is Edge? Is he okay? What, you know what I mean? Like, even though you know it's storyline, you're invested into the storyline. And that's cool. Randy Orton starts this thing off, and Salt Lake City gave it to him in full. They booed Orton for 12 minutes straight until Orton finally put down the mic, or before he did, he said, "I can't do this," and he puts down the mic, and Orton actually leaves the ring after being booed for 12 minutes straight. Salt Lake City brought it last night, and you talk about irony. They had a snowstorm, a blizzard, that the mayor and the governor was saying to Salt Lake, don't go out unless it's an emergency. They must have said, all right, we'll take that advice. Oh, WWE's in town. Emergency. Of course WWE's an emergency. Usually it's in a negative way, right? Oh my God, can it get any worse? It's on life support. But Salt Lake City wanted to be there last night, and the irony is usually WWE Raw is half full, half empty. Salt Lake was totally full last night. I'd be hard-pressed to say it wasn't a sellout. The entire arena was actually full. Usually WWE Raw is not full, it's half full. Or you could look at it as half empty. But in a blizzard, when they're telling people to stay home, Vince McMahon had real big concerns that a quarter of the arena was going to be full and that was it. No, everybody showed up and then some. It actually brought more people out to buy tickets. People are weird, man. You tell them not to do something and they want to do it even more. I just thought that was funny, and it made for an even better atmosphere because they gave it to Randy Orton. And that, my friends, is what you call good heel heat. That's the heat you get just from your actions in the storyline. That's the right type of heat. Because there is another type of heat that we've seen over the years, and that's the type of heat where we just don't want to see you. Vince thinks, oh, they're making a reaction. No, it's literally we're nauseous seeing you. That was really cool to see Orton get booed for 12 minutes straight. That's the type of heat you want to get in this business, and Randy Orton can capture it like lightning in a bottle. Several times in his career, he's already done it. Awesome. So that was that. He put the mic down after saying, I can't do this, and he walked away. And that's good because we knew Edge wasn't going to be used. So that's a further, like this is really weighing on Orton. But is it really in the right ways? Or does he wish he could have done even more? Who knows? But we have to wait to see how Edge is. We need to hear Edge's words next. It keeps us hanging on. And I like how they got rid of it right in the beginning of the show. Because they knew they had nothing else planned. They knew Edge wasn't there. But they wanted to address it right from the jump, move on with business. I thought everything was done perfectly here. And again, sometimes less is more. Sometimes saying nothing or not so much is more than saying a plethora of words. Less is more sometimes. This is one of those situations. Lana and Liv Morgan is the first match of the night. Morgan defeats Lana in just 90 seconds, and on one hand, you're thinking, all right, good. Maybe that's the end of this feud, this storyline, whatever you want to call it, between Morgan and Lana. Let's be done with it. It's a 90-second clean victory. There's nowhere else you could go with it. But let's be honest. From the jump, there was no way you were going to go with this. Right? The Liv Morgan return was botched from the beginning when she was inserted to this dumb feud. Because it led to exactly what we knew it was going to lead to. Nothing. Ridiculousness. A 90-second Morgan pin over Lana. That's what this whole thing stemmed to. So we were hoping that was it. But by the end of this segment, it doesn't look like it's going to be it. What do I mean? Well, Ruby Riott returned to Raw last night. Always good to see Ruby, right? We like Ruby. But I'm thinking, oh no. Are they bringing Ruby back to already feud with Liv, who just came back herself? And you say, BC, they have history. It's Ruby and Liv, so a feud with them is good. No, not right now. Liv just came back within a month ago. Ish. So Ruby's just coming. So you're backing yourself into a corner and you're putting yourself into a pickle. You have two people that just came back. You're going to feud them together right off the jump, right off the gate. And one of them has to lose the feud. Not just a match or two, but the ultimate feud, one of them has to lose. Why even put them in that predicament? So you see Riot come down, and she's apprehensive to really engage in a hug with Liv, and Liv is looking as if she just saw a ghost. So storyline-wise, it doesn't look like they're as good of friends as they once were. They're both apprehensive to say, like, oh my god, what's up? I haven't seen you in forever. No, they're like, hey. So then Liv tries to break the awkwardness by going to give Ruby a hug. Ruby ends up planting her on her ass like, oh, hell no. No, you give me a hug, it's right from the jump. If you're going to be apprehensive, I'm going to plant you on your ass. So she drops Liv, and then she starts throwing some blows onto Liv, totally levels her. Ruby proves her point, makes a statement, and leaves. So Ruby Riott goes down up the rampway. She done her business. I came back to take out Liv. Okay. Again, what does that do in the future now? Does Liv lose a Ruby Riott? Because you can't have Ruby lose this. We knew when Ruby comes back, she has to be something huge. There was so much potential for Liv Morgan. And now she got brought back into this stupid Lana BS. And now she's getting fed, because she's going to be fed to Ruby Riott. I don't care if they were Riot Squad members. That's 5th grade booking, man. Any 5-year-old can do that. Oh, wow, they were together? Let's put them back together. In a feud this time. All right, we can do that, but in the future, let's build up Liv Morgan first. Let's have Ruby come back, build her up, and then their paths cross. And it gets even worse, because after Ruby left and Liv Morgan was dropped, Lana then gets in some more blows, and Lana starts yelling, that's karma, and her music starts playing. So Lana's music is playing like Lana defeated Morgan earlier. So by the Ruby Riott re-entry to Raw, by Lana getting in the last blows and her music playing, you totally forgot about the 90-second victory earlier by Morgan. And that's what Vince wanted. We'll have Morgan win a match, but Morgan will be beat up by a returning Ruby and by Lana. That's good. That's what Vince is thinking. This is just not the best booking for Liv Morgan. And I saw it from the moment she returned to WWE, and I'm seeing it up until last night. And that's with a returning Ruby. It's great to see Ruby Riott. I don't want to see her and Liv right from the jump, because it's not going to do anything for Liv Morgan. And if Liv Morgan, wins this whole feud, then what? That did nothing for Ruby. They backed themselves into a corner and put themselves into a pickle. Hate that. If they just got creative, they could have Liv and Ruby's paths cross later on in life. Later this year, a big SummerSlam match if you really built them up properly. Because there is story there. There is history with the Riot Squad. Vince wants to put no care into anything. Who's coming back? Ruby? Oh, she was a Riot Squad member. Put her with Liv. But Vince, you have Liv involved in a 4-year storyline with Lana and Bobby Lashley. Well, let's do them both at once. Drew McIntyre, he took on Mojo Rawley up next. Drew grabs the mic, tells Mojo that after he talks about Brock Lesnar for a little bit, 3 seconds later he's going to kick Mojo's dome piece off his shoulders. So McIntyre subsequently goes to talk about Brock Lesnar for a little bit, and subsequently takes Mojo's dome piece off his shoulders. In 3 seconds, Drew McIntyre defeats Mojo. That's great for Drew. We want to see him keep building himself up to get over to WrestleMania to take on Brock. So I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with Mojo still looking like a super jobber. He won the 24/7 title, and he vowed he's going to make that prestigious, and nobody's going to be pushing him around. Nobody's going to be rolling him up simplistically for W's. We're still seeing him lose in 3 seconds, though. I don't care if it's against Drew McIntyre or Superman. Or Gilbert. James Ellsworth. It doesn't matter who's doing it. I'm still seeing Mojo lose in 3 seconds. I don't care if it wasn't for the 24/7 title or not. Come on, man. I mean, once he won that title, it looked like there was a slight character transformation. We were going to see more out of Mojo. Let's see what the dude truly has to offer. He just went from jobber to getting the 24/7 title and becoming super jobber. Our number one ends with a schmaz 6-man tag elimination match. Owens and Viking Raiders taking on Murphy and AOP. Not long into this thing, the Vikings are no longer in the match. One Viking got injured, the other Viking got pinned, And that was that. Owens is left with all 3 members of the Architects of Pain. Owens is able to pin Buddy Murphy via pop-up powerbomb, and then Owens hits the stunner on Akam for a pin. This leaves just Razar and Owens now. And you're thinking, on one hand, there's no way Owens should be pinning all of the Architects of Pain minus Seth Rollins. There's no way Owens should be doing that. But as the match progressed, you really got behind Owens. And on the other hand, you were saying, oh man, Owens is giving it his all here, man. He's looking good. He's literally winded. He's got nothing left in the tank, but he's going for it. He wants this so bad. So you had 2 different sides there, kind of battling. You knew on one hand that he should not be beating them all, but on the other hand, you wanted to see him beat them all. It was a little conflict there between our thoughts. Or at least I know it was for the Amplified, man. But anybody who truly knows the business knows that you cannot just bury the entire Architects of Pain in one match. Again, minus Seth Rollins. But Owens came damn near close to doing such. And again, it came down to him and Razar. Razar was able to, off of a slight distraction from Seth Rollins, hit 2 devastating slams onto Owens, and that was enough. Owens was winded and gassed anyway. 1, 2, 3, Razar ends up winning for the Architects of Pain. Owens came ever so close. Owens looked so damn good in there, man. It was an awesome showing. It really was. It's hit or miss with Owens most weeks with me. They put him in weird situations sometimes, and in other situations, he looks like gold. That was one of those good situations, man. He really looked good in there. It's not in the same category as, but it brought me back to the Kofi Kingston gauntlet match. I mean, it's those type of matches where somebody is really showing you what they truly have and overcoming the odds. It's those type of situations and those type of matches that really captivate you. And that's what captivated us to Kofi in the gauntlet match. It's the same with Kevin Owens in this elimination tag match. But again, no harm, no foul when it was all said and done. Owens looked awesome, and the Architects of Pain ultimately won the match, which is what should have happened. Whether we like it or not, that's the way business should have been conducted. You can't have the Architects of Pain. You can't have a 3-on-1 end with those 3 individuals getting beat. Otherwise, the faction doesn't look badass. It's just the truth. At this point, we're deep into hour number 2 because of that 6-man tag elimination match. So we go into an Alistair Black, Eric Young match. This kind of reminds me of Liv Morgan and Lana from earlier in the night, because this was also just about 90 seconds. Because 90 seconds after the bell rang again because Eric Young was out cold via Black Mass. And this was another devastating Black Mass. I don't think I've ever seen a Black Mass that wasn't devastating. Just one of my most favorite moves in WWE, easily. Black cut a post-match promo, and I'm going to level with you guys. I didn't have a clue what he was saying and what he was talking about, but it didn't matter because it sounded badass, and I was digging it. But he was talking some crazy nonsense, and I was along for the ride. It reminds me back in the 80s, early 90s with 2 superstars I used to love, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior. Their promos, you didn't have a clue what they were talking about. It was just gibberish. They were in left field with a hockey stick. They were on a 10th planet. They were just out there, man. But you were hanging on every word because there was so much passion, amplification, and you were intrigued by what they were saying. Didn't matter you didn't understand it. You were intrigued. With Alistair Black, he's out there, no doubt. But you're hanging on it because it's badass, and you know he means business. I loved it. Humberto is out next and ready for action. After a commercial, Zelina Vega comes out with Angel Garza from NXT. Now, you guys know I'm high on Garza, so for me, this was definitely a huge surprise and a treat for yours truly. To fill the void while Andrade serves his 30-day suspension, they've obviously inserted Humberto's cousin Garza into the mix, and I'm cool with that. Just picture that. Humberto Garza? Just like Humberto and Andrade, but even probably another level because they know each other even better. So I'm definitely okay with that as far as Andrade serving his suspension. Where are they going to go next with the Humberto? Because they obviously want to keep that going. So they inserted Zelina with Angel Garza. And just Garza being on the main roster, it just opens up so many possible matches that are going to floor me. I'm down. Garza and Humberto have words on the mic before Zelina smacks the taste out of Humberto's mouth, and that's exactly what happens. Garza then delivers the wing clipper after Zelina smacks Humberto across his mug. Garza's able to get him into the wing clipper, so at this point Humberto is down and out. He then sends Humberto to the outside, exposes the mat for just exposed concrete, goes to set him up for the DDT, but Rey Mysterio comes out for the save. Now, after commercial, this led to a Mysterio-Garza match. That's right. Think about that. Mysterio-Garza. Now, yes, Mysterio has lost a step or two, but could you picture Mysterio in his prime against Garza? It made me think of that, man. I mean, Mysterio still has it, and he could still go in there. But Mysterio in his prime versus Garza, man, I couldn't help but think of that. But nonetheless, we still got a pretty badass Mysterio-Garza match. It was fun as hell. With the time they were given anyway. And the irony here is the finish itself, which saw Garza being disqualified when he exposed the concrete, right? Took the mat away, the concrete's exposed, he set up Mysterio, and he dropped him on his dome piece. Now, that's irony because the whole thing started, this whole match, because Mysterio saved Humberto from suffering that same fate. It was Humberto that was about to be DDT'd into the concrete. And here we are with a match, and it's Mysterio that's getting DDT'd. So, I just love that. You know what I mean? It's like full circle in storytelling. And when you can do that, I mean, it doesn't happen often. But when they do it, man, and they come full circle, it jumps off the screen to me. So Mysterio tries to help his friend Humberto, and he ends up suffering that same fate. Loved it. And Garza looking like gold, man. Him with Zelina. And when Andrade comes back, Zelina, Andrade, and Garza, you have a little bit of a faction if you want to go that route. Or just a tag team. Or if you just want to leave them separately and still have Zelina still managing both. I'm cool with that kind of thing. You know, back in the day, manager, just because they were managers doesn't mean everybody was a tag team. They had everybody separate. Like the Heenan family. So I'm cool if Zelina wants to stick with Garza, and if Garza wants to stick around on that main roster, I'm totally down with it, man. And again, Humberto and Garza now have unfinished business, just like Andrade and Humberto. So the mid-card, man, being bumped up a little bit. I like it. They're starting to invest some time into the mid-card with superstar, I can speak. I need another coffee. Superstars that can actually go. That's what I want to see. Charlotte Flair starts the third hour, and she's teasing who she's going to pick for her WrestleMania opponent. She's talking about how she's already held the Raw and SmackDown championships numerous times. She's talking about how she already beat Becky, and she's already beat Bayley. And we're at home like, we know, Charlotte. You've already beaten everybody. We know, Charlotte. You've already held every championship multiple times. We know you're already a 10-time champion in just a few years. We know that by year 10, you're going to hold more championships than your father. We get all of it, Charlotte. Make it go away. And then a pretty cool moment. Rhea Ripley shows up, and it's just it's funny because I said a few videos ago, like after, was it the review on Rumble or was it the Raw review after? I forget which one it was, but I said, you know what? Her and Becky is not going to intrigue anyone. Her and Bayley is not going to intrigue anyone. We've seen it too many times, both matches. I said, listen, just have her go for the NXT championship with Rhea and be done with it. It's a badass match. We wouldn't mind seeing those two together, and it saves us from another Becky Charlotte and Bayley Charlotte match. I said it as just a joke, and here we are just a little over a week later, and they're actually going to go, it looks like, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. Rhea comes into the ring, holds her belt up, and says, you beat Becky, you beat Bayley, but you never beat me. Come to think of it, I've already beaten you. And again, she's holding her NXT championship up, and she's wanting a match with Charlotte, and Charlotte just walks away. Stops at the top of the ramp, turns around, says, woo, and walks away. So her answer was woo. Not very much of an answer. So what they did is they said tomorrow night on Wednesday's NXT on USA show, Charlotte is coming to Full Sail. Charlotte is coming to Orlando. And Charlotte is going into NXT's house, to Rhea Ripley's house, and she is going to answer Rhea Ripley's challenge for Mania. We expect this to be a yes, or she could say no, attack Rhea, and string this along. But either way, it looks like they're going to go Charlotte and Rhea. I think that's the only option you can go here. Nobody wants to see Becky and Charlotte again. unless you have the fans that's Becky and Charlotte fans and they love those matches, that's fine. And Bayley and Charlotte, it's the same thing. We want to see new, we want to see fresh for WrestleMania, right? This isn't just a regular Crown Jewel or Super Showdown special event pay-per-view. This is WrestleMania, man. You can't give us Becky and Charlotte again, or Bayley and Charlotte. So it looks like it's going to go Rhea Ripley, man. She showed up to Raw last night. It was a pretty cool moment. I got to be honest with you guys. Speaking of the women, Asuka took on Natalya last night. I loved watching Natty try and match Asuka's physical style. She definitely, Natty, tried to tap into another level of aggression against Asuka. And you really have no choice when you're taking on Asuka. If you want to win anyway, you have to tap into another level of aggression. It was fun watching Natty do that last night because we know it's in her. We just don't see it often. The finish was the right call, and that's Asuka tapping out Natty. Post-match, Asuka demands a rematch from Becky Lynch for the title. Becky hits the ring and accepts Asuka's challenge. She also talks about having superpowers now. This is a weird Becky Lynch that's happening, right? The last 2 weeks, last week we saw this different transformation in character, and now we're starting to see it a little bit more. It's like an extra layer of annoying. I can't, she's calling herself the GOAT now. She has the GOAT on the back of her leather jacket. She's got these weird glasses now. She's got a new strut. She's now claiming she's got superpowers after beating Asuka at Royal Rumble. I have no idea. It's not as cringe as Leprechaun Becky. You guys remember NXT Leprechaun Becky? But at least we're kind of getting away. I'll rather call her the GOAT than the Mon. So if we can get away from the Mon, you little weirdo, I guess it's an improvement. I'm willing to see this drag out. It's almost like a female version of maybe Conor McGregor, where it's an extra level of annoying, but she's making you tune in, isn't she? Maybe it's going to be that type of thing. So I don't care if it's annoying as long as I want to tune in. Remains to be seen. This is a weird character development change. I have to let it play out. But she ended up taking out Kyrie, went to jump her from behind. She turns around, kicks Kyrie, throws her out of the ring, turns around, looks at Asuka and says, "See? Superpowers. Got eyes behind the back of my head." I don't know where they're going with this Becky Lynch, man. As long as they stop trying to push it as she's the face of the company. Stop it. Stop it. Corey Graves, actually, just on his podcast, I saw this was a news story, and it was one of these dirt sheets, man, and it had like a whole paragraph or two from Corey Graves on his podcast, and he says, listen, I'm there in the arena, and I'm telling you that the crowd response for Becky Lynch has diminished. That's coming from Graves. That's coming from a commentator who's in those arenas. I've been telling you for months that her reaction has been diminishing. I take a lot of heat for that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not there every day. You don't know what they're doing, BC. Corey Graves is even backing up my words. But I don't know what I'm talking about. Come on, guys. You can do better than that. And that's something that if you just do your research, open your ears up, look at what's happening. You would have saw the Becky Lynch this whole year. You would have saw that whole character start devolving. It wasn't progressing. And those were the concerns that I raised. Nobody wanted to hear them. They just wanted to hate on good old BC, right? Nuh-uh, BC. F you, BC. You don't know what you're talking about, man. Becky's the face. And I'm like, guys, the reaction is it's not, you know. Salt Lake loved her last night, but Salt Lake would have loved anything. If you had a grapefruit taking on a watermelon last night, they would have been like, watermelon. grapefruit, watermelon. They wouldn't have cared. Salt Lake was just happy to be out of the house after that blizzard. But Corey Graves is backing that up, so I'm okay with Becky tweaking her character. I just hope this works. It seems extra annoying right now, but maybe that is what she's going with. Remains to be seen. Up next, so again, guys, that was actually confirmed for next week. This isn't going to be at a pay-per-view coming up. Asuka and Becky Lynch for the championship next week on Raw. That's official. The main event was a number one contenders match for Brock's title at Super Showdown, February 27th. I know you're thinking, BC, what do you mean? There's already a number one contender, Drew McIntyre. He won the Rumble. He picked Brock. Well, he won the Rumble, yes. His ticket to WrestleMania is punched. But Brock doesn't need to be the champion. Brock still has to defend his championship. Finally! He didn't do it at Rumble, but he's got to do it at Super Showdown. So they're going to have a triple threat match last night to determine who's going to take on Brock at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia, February 27th. The participants were Seth Rollins, Ricochet, and Bobby Lashley. Midway through this thing, it looked like a 24/7 title frenzy. AOP showed up, a Viking Raider, the one that's not injured, forgive me, I forgot who was who at this point, and Kevin Owens. They all joined the fray. They were all brawling, taking us to commercial. Once we came back from commercial, the focus was once again on Rollins, Rico, and Bob. Ricochet looked like he was having fun in this match. It looked like he was having fun again. And I say that because for the longest time, it looked like he was just doing his job, if that makes sense. It looks like he was just showing up, punching his time card, and just doing his job. Last night, it looked like he was having fun again, man. So that was really cool to see. And again, I look for things like that. And I looked at Ricochet and I was like, this dude's having fun like it was his first week in wrestling. Lashley just looked like he was lost for most of this match. It looked like Lashley never looked like he was comfortable in there. He was trying, though. I'm not throwing any shade at Lashley. It just looked like he doesn't do best with these schmaz matches. He just looked lost for most of this. It looked like he was uncomfortable. Rollins was actually a non-factor, basically, in this match, and there was good reason for that. Because Ricochet ended up winning this thing. Ricochet pinned Bobby Lashley, and Ricochet is now going on to take on Brock Lesnar, February 27th, Super Showdown Crown Jewel. That made no sense. Crown Jewel is separate. Saudi Arabia, there we go. Crown Jewel isn't a country. Hey, have you ever visited Crown Jewel? Yeah, I'm going to see Super Showdown in Crown Jewel. Told you I needed another coffee, guys. These guys were down before I even started filming, as I usually do. Anyway, Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia. This had the interworld fed up, pissed off. Ricochet, why? What? Makes no sense. This is stupid. Ricochet, after he won, actually had to go to social media and say, guys, can't you just enjoy things once in a while? Ricochet actually had to tell people on social media to relax. He's probably thinking, guys, it's Super Showdown on a Thursday afternoon. It's not WrestleMania. They're giving me a chance to shine. Relax. I'm kind of with Ricochet on this. If this was Mania, you go back to my video I made just a couple weeks ago before Royal Rumble, where I told you guys, Ricochet versus Brock, this is just silly. At what point does Brock show up and in front of Vince? Vince tells him the plans for the night, and at what point does Brock just laugh and say, dude, I can take on little dudes to a point, but there has to come a point where I'm just going to be a joke. And I said in that video, I mean, this makes zero sense. Are we supposed to believe in this? And I mainly say that because they have not used Ricochet the right way. He has not been booked properly. But you can say that about everybody on the roster. But then on top of that, Ricochet doesn't have an over-the-top personality that can captivate us, that really attracts us to him, right? He doesn't have this amplification when he speaks. He doesn't have this aura or persona that captivates you. That's what I don't like about Ricochet. He's got all the skill and talent in the world, but when it comes to promos and his persona and his character, it doesn't do much. So when they were setting this thing up for the Royal Rumble and you were starting to think, WrestleMania, what are they going to have Ricochet and Brock? You're thinking, hell no. Nobody wants to see that. But when you're talking Thursday afternoon for Super Showdown, that's no harm, no foul. I said in that video a couple weeks ago too that Brock usually has good matches with the smaller dudes anyway. So Ricochet and Brock is probably going to be hella fun if you're just putting it at Super Showdown Thursday afternoon, February 27th, when all of us are at work or doing something anyway. It's no harm, no foul. Everybody's getting flipped out and tweaking out. For what? Let it be. That's just an exhibition match anyway. Yes, you say Bobby Lashley and Brock would have been better, but would it have been? There's no build to this. And they would have only gave them a couple of minutes. It would have been a squash. Trust me, guys. It would have been no better than Goldberg and Undertaker in Saudi Arabia. Or, who was it? Goldberg and Lesnar? I think they did better. Or Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. Maybe that wasn't in Saudi Arabia, but still, you had these two behemoths we thought was going to be a good match. It wasn't. So, yes, Lashley and Brock would be good if built properly. Those are the key words. We're just a few weeks away from February 27th. Do you honestly think they were going to miraculously take Bobby Lashley from that feud, that ridiculousness he just had with Rusev, and in just 3 weeks they were going to make him somebody we wanted to see in there with Brock? It wasn't going to be done right. And then they get in there and 2 minutes later Brock was going to squash him. I'd rather see Ricochet bouncing all around and trying to come up with crazy ways to try to defeat Brock. I'd rather that. And in the future, yes, I still want to see Bobby Lashley and Brock, but book it the right way. Book up, build up Bobby Lashley. Don't just throw him out there in just 3 weeks as just a bridge. Because I think Ricochet is going to be the better matchup. He's going to be the little squirmy dude that Brock can't get his hands on. And Brock has had good matches with all the smaller dudes in the past. Again, I stand by my words. At what point does it become ridiculous? How many small dudes are you going to parade out there? But if it's Thursday afternoon in Saudi Arabia and you finally want to give Ricochet something, let's give him something. No harm, no foul. And you preserve Lashley in the future. Build him up properly, and maybe one day we can get Lashley and Lesnar the right way. But I don't want to see Lashley just paraded out there in just 3 weeks' time, coming off of something that we didn't want to see him for months with Rusev, and then he's just defeated in 2 minutes. No, let Ricochet be thrown to the wolves. This doesn't hurt Ricochet at all if he gets defeated by Brock, because that's what should be happening. So he saves face. This is only going to work wonders for Ricochet. And again, at least it's not WrestleMania like I said a couple weeks ago. I'm okay with this. Ricochet was getting all of his hate afterwards, and finally he had to take to social media and say, guys, can you just relax? Can't we just enjoy something for a moment? I can, because again, I just told you guys the situation. It's Thursday afternoon, just a few weeks away. Yours truly is going to be traveling that day on some business, and then I'm going to turn that business into a couple of days of trying to turn it into a little mini vacay, I guess you could say. I'm going to try to turn business into something fun. But that all starts around that time. So a lot of people have to work and have lives on a Thursday afternoon. And people are really getting this upset. Oh my God, I can't see Ricochet and Lesnar. Who cares, man? That's an exhibition match for Lesnar. Lesnar is only supposed to go into Saudi Arabia, have a 2-minute match, and hit the showers. It's an exhibition match. Just let it be. There's bigger things we need to complain about in this company, guys. That's not one of them. If it was WrestleMania, hell yeah, we have a problem. Houston, there's a problem. Salt Lake, wherever you are, there's an issue. But let's just sit back and watch this exhibition match. It's not a big deal. At least they didn't have Ricochet winning the Rumble. At least he's not main eventing WrestleMania. Because then we can all say, Ricochet should not be in that spot. He's got all the skill, all the talent. But damn, he's got to work on all the other areas. But for a Thursday afternoon that I'm going to miss anyway, up front live, I'm okay with it, man. And it could be, here's a crazy concept, it could be fun. It most likely is going to be fun. A lot more fun than Lashley and Lesnar was going to be. That was Raw. I can't bash it too much because everybody fought through a blizzard. And I honestly believe that they brought in some NXT talent because they didn't know if all of the WWE main roster talent was going to show up for Raw. So maybe they had to have all hands on deck. Who knows if they were going to utilize Ruby Riott this soon or not, right? Maybe they brought her in. Who knows? But Vince was fearing a lot last night, talent-wise, and of course crowd-wise. He didn't know if people were even going to be allowed out. They declared a state of emergency, telling people to stay indoors. So all in all, they delivered at least a passable product. I'm hard-pressed to say it was good, and I'm not going to. I wanted more. But, you know, I won't necessarily call it bad. Everybody fought through the elements. The crowd was hot. We saw some cool things, man. Rhea Ripley sets this thing up with Charlotte. Ruby Riott came back. Did I say Ruby? What did I say? Rhea Ripley. Not Ruby Ripley. The fuck am I talking about? I really need a coffee. The Ruby Riott coming back thing was a cool moment. I just wish it wasn't against Liv this soon. Rhea Ripley coming out and confronting Charlotte Flair and saying you're not as badass as you think you are. I like that. Randy Orton telling the story perfectly, getting booed for 12 minutes. I like that. Owens almost overcoming the odds and taking out all the Architects of Pain minus Seth. I like that. And, yeah, so, I mean, there were some things here that were definitely passable. That was Raw. We'll see where they go. Tomorrow night is when Charlotte Flair invades NXT. It'll be interesting to see that dynamic. Of course, NXT on USA and AEW is going to be putting on a show called Dynamite on TNT Network. So I will have a review of both. It's probably going to be both in one video again on Thursday, guys. You guys really seem to have liked that concept a little better than two separate ones. So I might put them both together again. NXT and AEW, but that's obviously going to be Thursday. And of course, more content to come this weekend. The podcast, SmackDown's review. So, yeah. A lot to do today. That's it. It looks like it's a rainy, just gray and gloomy type of day, so we got to bring some amplification, man. We got to bring some passion out of people out there in the city. Hopefully you guys do the same with coffee and ass whoopings. The Amp Man. Thanks again for jotting those names down below, guys, for my little experiment. I'll have the results in an upcoming video. One male, one female superstar from the main roster who you guys feel is the best. Who's your favorite? 1 and 1. Drop it down below. For now, check you later.